Hello everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to ChasingCinema.com's official YouTube channel. This is my Week 10 update for my 365-day movie challenge. Yes, I know, a few days late, but guys, I just got hit with a brutal sinus infection. And I'm sorry it's late, but it is here now. Don't worry, I'm ready, are you? Let's break right into it. Before that, though, make sure to go check out my movie reviews for 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was last week's, and this week's The Divergent series, Allegiant. Click that white eye up here. Links will drop down. You'll be able to find it. As well as my review for a film called A Girl Like Her. Really recommend checking that out. Week 10. So week 10 was a bit interesting. Very, very busy week as far as work-wise for me. I also went to California for a day. I'll get into that. And, well, let's just hop into it. So, day 64, which was Monday, I watched To Be Takei. To Be Takei. I learned how to finally pronounce his name through this documentary. I know everyone's like, you should know already. I know. Well, the film follows George Takei, the activist and actor that has become really big in pop culture. I really like this movie. I thought it was an excellent portrait of the actor and activist. You get kind of a peek into his daily life and how he is. And you know, he's so charismatic and so funny. And so interesting to watch. Of course, this movie is going to be fun and interesting to watch. It really reminded me of Iris, a film that I reviewed 2 weeks ago or whatever. Maybe even longer now. They're all starting to blend. Because he's interesting, the documentary is going to be interesting, right? But I will say, the more I learned about him, there were some really heartbreaking stuff that you learn in this documentary that I thought were really great moments of drama and sincerity from him. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to talk about what it is, but it's very researchable. If you're curious, you can find out more. But I thought it was a really interesting way to kind of explore this happy, gleeful guy that we always see smiling and laughing. And we learned a little something tragic about him. And it really kind of takes hold of the documentary as you're learning this. You're like, wow, kind of really makes sense on how he is. Why he is how he is. Of course, these documentaries are only as good as their subjects, and I don't think this movie gave me anything too memorable to want to go back and revisit it, but I'm glad I watched it. Okay, so the next day, I watched that movie, right, at like 11 o'clock. Doesn't tell me what time I tweeted out my review. 11 p.m., 5 a.m., I was driving to California for work, and then I was going to watch a movie while I was in California, but we got so busy, so crazy, me and Mr. James Shue and Kent Wong and our friends at NPM. I didn't get to watch one. I got back in town around 2:30 a.m. and I realized I got home after a long day in California that I still needed to watch a movie. So I did. Of course, obviously, my challenge is going strong. So day 65, I watched a movie where you'll probably either shake your head at, laugh at, or just poof at me. But it was Scooby Doo's Wrestlemania Mystery, a film from last year. Now, for those that don't know, I'm a humongous wrestling fan, like big time. Always have been, always will be. It's a curse and a blessing. And when I saw this, I was like, man, I would like to watch this movie. It's a cute kids movie, animated, and has something to do with wrestling. Well, unfortunately, I was kind of disappointed. Maybe it was because I'm not in the demographic. Maybe it was because I had a really long day and I was really exhausted. But I think there's some fun stuff, and the fact that John Cena is in it and a few other wrestlers, including Kane and AJ Lee, was fun. But overall, including Triple H, my favorite. But the movie just doesn't really kind of is memorable at all. It's just a really long episode, right? And I'm sure a lot of you are like, well, what'd you expect? This movie's not for you. And you're probably right. But as a wrestling fan, I think it's cool just to see the wrestlers in the Scooby Doo universe. The following day, I watched Cloverfield because I was prepping for 10 Cloverfield Lane, and I had never seen Cloverfield. And this was from 2008. And this film, I was shocked how much I enjoyed, right? I'm not the crazy person about found footage. Mind you, this was the found footage film that came out kind of in the beginning of this hype. Well, not beginning, but like the major selling of this, right? Because we have films, you know, Blair Witch Project's obviously one of the first, well, not even, you know, but in the modern era, one of the first found footage films. And then they kind of just becoming like a major selling point in the mid-2000s. And I thought this movie was great at doing it. Even though I've seen so many now, I still think it's a great found footage film because it throws you really smack dab right in the action, and you just got to deal with it. There are no scientists, there are no generals, there are no presidents, there's no one to learn about these monsters. You were just there and you got to deal with it, right? I think it was visually exciting. I thought it was effective. I thought it was smart. I really, really had a fun time with this movie. And there's some pretty like awesome things in this, including the shot of the head of the Statue of Liberty just like flying across the street. Like how memorable of a shot that is. I think there are some issues, but honestly, I just had a really good time watching that movie. Now, day 67, I watched 10 Cloverfield Lane, the supposedly sequel to Cloverfield. And let me tell you, 10 Cloverfield Lane is nearly my favorite film of the year so far, right? Like, Zootopia is still probably my number one, but this is like a close second. This is such a great movie. It was a directorial debut for Dan Trachtenberg, and he did a phenomenal job. This movie was so good. I don't want to talk about it because you click this bright eye up here, right? Links to drop down. You'll be able to actually watch my review of this movie. But it was so good. John Goodman is in top form. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is amazing in this movie. The performances are it's just a great thriller. There's so much suspense. There's so much mystery. It's constantly reversing you in your beliefs. You're like, okay, I'm right. Oh, no, wait, I'm wrong. Oh, no, I knew that was a lie. I was right. Oh, no, I'm wrong again. I mean, it just throws you around like you're a toy, and it just totally plays, as the Joker would say, it plays you like a violin and then cuts your strings. You don't know what that means? I mean, maybe you guys won't get that. Maybe you think, well, that would be weird. But I love that line from the Joker. But it's true. I mean, you just totally get played by this movie. And it's so smart. It's so fun. Just an incredible thriller. Like, I wasn't super crazy about how the film ends, but I just think it was a really effective movie that made me hold my breath, grab my armrests in just nervousness and terror, and just a blast. A lot of fun. Day 68. I watched Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, a film that stars Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. And it's really uneven, right? And the more I thought about it, I actually tweeted more. I mean, I tweeted that I thought it was really uneven. I didn't think the tone was really there. I thought it was a very confused movie. But I still thought it was kind of remotely touching. And I still do feel that way, but I think a little bit less of the movie as time's gone on. They offer solid performances, but if you follow me on Twitter, @JacobTiranno, I've been tweeting GIFs. Now you can do GIFs on Twitter, and I've been tweeting GIFs on how I feel sometimes because it's just fun. And I tweeted the picture of Christoph Waltz from Inglourious Basterds just going, and that's how I kind of felt about this movie. The following day, I watched Bernie, the Richard Linklater film that stars Shirley MacLaine, Matthew McConaughey, and of course Jack Black. Now this is a movie, right? Like I've talked about this before when I reviewed School of Rock a couple months back. Not the craziest Jack Black fan, right? Like not the biggest Jack Black fan. Love him in Kung Fu Pandas, but that's about it. This is probably his best performance. Best of his career, easy. Because this whole movie falls on his performance as this very odd but charismatic character. I don't even want to tell you what this movie's about. If you don't know what this movie's about, and you've seen it on Netflix, or you've seen it and you're like, maybe I should watch this, do it. Watch it. Don't know what it's about. Go in blind, because it's awesome. It's clever. It's smart. It's fascinating. It's attractive. Like, it's one of those movies where you're just so intrigued. You're like, oh my God. And it was based on a true story. And the fact that it's based on the true story is probably one of the most fascinating parts, because you're like, wait, what? This really happened? Yeah, it really happened. But wow. I've never seen Jack Black, like, not act like Jack Black, except for this movie, and he does it so well. And and I'm not knocking Jack Black either. Jack Black does his thing, and people love him, and more power to him. But, this was a movie where he really tried to give a performance that I felt really extended him from what his normal performances and roles would call for, and he completely lands it. And that actually goes for the following movie as well. The last movie of the week for day 70 was The Voices, a movie that had been recommended to me for quite some time by multiple people, which tells a story about a man who hears voices and how these voices kind of control his life. And that stars Ryan Reynolds. Now, after the whole Deadpool movie, everyone kind of knows that I'm lukewarm on Ryan Reynolds. Like, I don't think he's amazing, but I don't think he's bad. Like, I don't think he's a bad actor. But I think he falls, and similar to Jack Black, is kind of playing Ryan Reynolds. I think he did really great as Deadpool. I thought Deadpool was good, but we don't got to get into that. But in this movie, I feel like he really delivered, again, his best performance. I thought it was completely unlike Ryan Reynolds. The way his character acted, it was so... He's a character that okay, so this is a dark comedy. So is Bernie. And Bernie is kind of serious, but it still has those comedic elements. This movie, I could see why they would call it a dark comedy because of these like absurd moments. But I didn't really laugh at this movie. A few times. But to be honest, this was a movie where, like Pain and Gain, perfect example. Some people are probably thinking I'm crazy, but watching this movie and watching Pain and Gain, when people were laughing a lot, my heart was breaking. Like, I've never, since watching these movies, I don't think I felt for a character so badly like I did in this movie. Ryan Reynolds' character, Jerry, I just felt so sympathetic for. Like, I genuinely thought I was watching a tragedy. And though I don't think that is a knock on the movie, you know, I wouldn't have labeled it as a dark comedy. I mean, I get it, right? Like, he talks to his animals, and there's a lot of outrageous things. He's talking to severed heads and things like that. But honestly, it's about this man's sanity that's slipping. And to me, it was just a really tragic movie. I mean, it was a very rewarding movie. I was really glad I watched it. I enjoy the idea behind it because it wasn't somber. It wasn't like super dramatic where it was supposed to be depressing. Because if it was that way, I think it would have been melodramatic, and I don't think it would have hit the same. But this movie, because it was kind of absurd and wild, it was easier for me to really like the character and then really feel that heartbreak of what he was going through. And I think that goes to the writer of the movie because I think the script is the best part, and that's Michael R. Perry. It was also directed really well, but I mean, easily one of his best performances, and the movie really touched me. It really did, and it really stuck with me. So kudos to that. That's going to wrap it up for this week. Guys, next week, I mentioned last week that people have been complaining that I haven't been doing themes, right? So I'm going to try to do themes. And I read this article from BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed.com's 19 seriously scary documentaries that'll scare the hell out of you, right? I read that documentary and I decided to take 7 days and watch 7 of those 19 movies. I'll be doing that review on Monday for this week, which I've been watching all of these horror films. I've attached the link in the description box below. Click it, check them out, maybe watch them with me, and on Monday I'll be reviewing those. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. Comment if you want to talk about any of the movies I mentioned below, which was To Be Takei, Scooby Doo, Wrestlemania Mystery, Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Seeking a Friend at the End of the World, Bernie and the Voices. Again, click that white eye up here to click any links that you'd be interested in seeing. And that's going to be it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jacob Tiranno, and please continue chasing cinema.